Alright guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be replacing the screen on a Samsung Galaxy A15. So let's switch over to the desk cam and go ahead and get started with this repair. Alright, so if I'm not mistaken, this is glass, so we want to be careful with it. Oh, no, that is plastic, so a little less careful, but still careful. So we just want to get our alcohol in there a tiny bit. I'm just going to slice in here. Alright, so we're just going to get this plastic cover off here. Just going to slice through the tape all around. Maybe there's like 6 screws under here, maybe. I preemptively removed the SIM card tray. You're going to want to do that first. Alright, now that we're inside of here, let's go ahead and get these screws out. Alright, once we have all the screws out, we'll flip the screen over and then get down in the frame and start popping the frame down. Try to get this, you can see on camera. Just popping it down to unclip the frame from around the screen housing. Be careful, you don't want to break any of the little plastic covers or pieces that are on the frame, if at all possible. are. Once you get a big corner out, the rest of the phone will be much easier to. There we are. Just getting down in there and just prying it open, getting these clips off one by one, nice and easy. And there we are. Put that to the side. Now we have this separated. Should have one screw in the top logic board and one screw in the bottom logic board. We're going to disconnect the battery immediately, and then disconnect the daughter board. Take the screw out of the main logic board, set that to the side. Take the screw out of the sub board, set that to the side. The screen has this flex right here that is folded over the daughter board. That needs to get pried off of the daughter board carefully. There we are. And now I will carefully peel up on the daughter board. I'm going to leave the antennas connected here to the daughter board, and once I get them up, I'm going to use the antennas and just peel this up out of here just like that, and then that's going to get me the entire assembly out just like that. We'll just set that off to the side. Now we want to remove, well, sometimes these actually come with the loudspeaker, so let's see if the speaker is installed in the new part, which it is, so we don't have to worry about transferring the loudspeaker because it's already installed in the new part. We do want to, on the new part, prep it, so we'll do that by removing the cover for the camera and removing the cover for the daughter board. Now that we have those removed, we want to remove the CMOS battery carefully. Just push the tweezers underneath of it, scraping against the bottom of the frame rather than digging into the device itself or prying up on it. You get these under there, they're thick enough that they'll just push that out of there naturally. That is the way. So we'll just go ahead and transfer this directly into the new part. Bam. Alright, perfect. So now, that's all of the parts that need to go in prior to the logic boards being in. So we will go ahead and set the logic boards into the new part, same way they came out of the old one. And they sit in there pretty easily. We just want to make sure that the red goes under the blue. And you'll notice that the red is a little thinner than the blue for these antennas, and you know, it's not always going to be red and blue for whatever model of phone you're repairing. The thinner one generally goes underneath in the little channel that they press down into. So we just press those down into that channel and they are golden. Line these cameras up so they all fit down into their little holes, and we're golden. Daughter board is lined up. We want to push this guy down onto the logic board just like the other one was on here. Perfect. It'll probably pop back up off of there, but that's fine. We just want it bent in that shape. And then thank you, Samsung, for creating this new battery which like pulls out. So you pull this tab and you need to make sure the tab is all the way clicked off the battery. Once you get it up off of there, here, all the way up off the battery across. So it's, let's see, there you go. And just pull on this guy. And it takes quite a bit of force, but you can hear it separating. And pop it out, right out. We're not going to reuse most of this, so we're going to take this and we're going to cut it off with some scissors. Alright, so this guy is then now good to get installed into our new part. If you have any bubbles or anything on the bottom from peeling that up, hit it with the battery roller, or press it onto a piece of glass, like a piece of tempered glass, like a desk or a table, glass desk or table, rather. So I'm just going to put 2 strips of wide tape on the base where the battery slots into. Some nice little easy peasy. And the battery will just fit right onto these guys here. Alright, so the tabs are now run for the battery. Let's go ahead and peel the sticky. Goodness gracious. Sticky is peeled. You just want to line the battery connector up first, and then place the battery off of that being lined up pretty naturally. And that's pretty good. Press it in there. You want to keep flat fingers so you can just press evenly. You don't want to be pushing into it. Disconnect the battery again. Now let's add the screws back to the logic board and the daughter board. Main logic board is back screwed down. So now let's do the same with the daughter board. Link. So now let's reconnect the screen and daughter board. Those are reconnected. Just make sure everything's sitting properly. Now let's get this back glass, or back frame, back plastic cleaned up. Tape roller, finger, whatever tool you have to get this off of here. Some isopropyl. Be careful with the isopropyl on these plastics, because this paint for the glass will come off with alcohol. Generally these spinning tools work really well for this adhesive to remove it pretty quickly. But for me, I just used my thumb. I got pretty thick skin on the tip of my thumb, so. Alright, so now that that's pretty clean, it's got a little bit of adhesive on it, we're just going to hit it really quickly with a once over and some alcohol, not long enough to melt the tape, or I mean rather melt the paint. Just enough to get a little bit more of this adhesive and any oils that are on cleaned off. Alright, that's pretty good. Set that back to the side, grab this frame. We want to get all the adhesive off the frame as well. Oh. Alright, so that's the last of the adhesive on there. I'll just go ahead and hit this also with some alcohol, just to get it nice and clean for the plastic to tape back onto nicely. Alright, that's nice and clean. So now that this is clean, let's go ahead and slap this bad boy back on the frame. I'm going to put the battery back in, connected. Now that the battery is connected, we're going to set this over. We're going to plug in the power button to the logic board. There we are. Now that that is done, we just want to click around the edges, a little bit of firm pressure to get this bad boy to snap into place all around here. Looks pretty good to me. Other than that, nope, that's just an optical illusion. Alright, so that's in place. Let's toss all these screws back in here, and then we can start applying the new adhesive. go ahead and toss the SIM tray and SIM card back in this guy and then turn it on so we can test it before we get the tape on it and get it sealed up. So now, moment of truth with the new screen. That's pretty good. Generally that means we did a good job. But let's see if we have touch. If we have touch, then we can tape this bad boy and then reseal it. Spectrum. Battery is about to die. Alright, that is good. Yep, I hear you. I'm just going to let his phone go off so I can leave it on for him. So let's go ahead and get the new adhesive applied. And then we'll be good to go. So what I like to do is for the bottom, just take a nice fat piece of adhesive, just go all the way across the bottom, chop it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this in with the tool, and then I'm going to cut around it with the X-Acto knife so it fits perfectly into those edges. And I'm going to do the same thing but with not quite as fat tape on the sides and top. So, not sure what the millimeter is. So the sides I'm using, this is basically 5mm tape, or it's 4.7, call that 4.5. And then the fat tape is, we'll call that 10mm. You do want to make sure that you get the tape all the way to the edge of the frame and as close to the other tape as possible. I always overlap the tapes, and then I take the tape and I fold it back, and then I cut it to where I know it's going to flap back down and then be super even, like so. So now So now we just want to, tool is trash. We just want to press on the adhesive and make sure that it's all sitting flush with no bubbles on the frame. And you want to go around these corners and press it all the way up into the frame. That way we can cut around it with an X-Acto knife and it'll sit right up against the frame, nice and flush. Same deal on the bottom. Handy dandy number 4, use it for everything. Doesn't need to be this, just anything sharp that'll cut through this. One more across the middle, just halfway though, because I don't want it to interfere with any of the camera stuff here. Alright. So now that this is all taped up real pretty, we're gonna remove the cover from the adhesive and then seal this bad boy up. Alright, so we'll just start where the camera's at, line up this corner. We just want to make sure all the cameras fit into the frame. Oh. Taped over the little hole where the bracket slots down into next to the camera here. So make sure that that's not obstructed, right there, that little hole, because this clip for the camera fits into it. Same with these two. So I'm just going to pop this adhesive so it doesn't interfere with those clips. We should be back on track now. Like I said, always line up the camera first, because that's the side we need to be straight at the very least. Nice and flush. Press where all the adhesive is. Just want to make sure we push nice and firmly to get all the bubbles and stuff out of it. And this plastic is pretty good about sticking to the adhesive, so we are not going to need to put this into any clamps or anything to hold it together. So this guy, for all intents and purposes, I can call this customer and his device is completed. So once again, thanks guys for tuning into another video. Until next time.